Just really loved the imagery again being used throughout the whole thing. And it just made the movies really stand out and really come alive, in my opinion. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Riley K. Jones. I'm a writer, teacher, and author tuber. And today we are going to do another book review. So this is a book review for a reading wrap up for the month of October. The first book that we're going to talk about I actually do not have a copy of with me today because I actually borrowed it from the library, and that is Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. It is the third book of the first installment of the Percy Jackson series, and I had a lot of fun with that book. I thought it was well done, and there were things that I was like, oh wow, they're really just starting, he's really starting to build up the world and just go off of it and it was a joy to read. And in this book, a little bit of spoilers, so if you want to hear that, you can skip ahead a little bit. This book, you kind of see his development and crush on Annabeth. And so I thought that was a lot of fun to read as like someone who enjoys romance. I was like, oh, he really likes her. But like she's mostly gone throughout the whole book because she's been kidnapped. So it was really well done. I liked it. I'm already reading the book 4 and I can't wait to finish that book and hopefully finish book 5 by the end of the year and then start the next series. So definitely Percy Jackson series, keep going, keep reading. I love it. I highly recommend it. The next book that I read is part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it is the final book in that installment, The Return of the King. I think out of the three, I really liked Return of the King a little bit more. It was a little interesting as you kind of keep jumping around from all the different characters' perspectives in a very nice, neat way. So if you're like, oh my goodness, that sounds confusing, he does it in a very good way, very neat. But you all kind of see the puzzle pieces kind of fall into place where I was like, oh, well, why did we have that one guy with at I think it was Minas Tirith with I forget his name, and I did this the last book review, but Wormtongue and then the other guy, the king. I was like, well, why is he like so important? And the reason why is Arwen, which she then comes into play, and I'm like, oh, okay, really, it's more about her and about him as an example of a king just not listening to wisdom and or a leader not listening to wisdom and just kind of listening to poor wisdom and things that I was like, kind of. I don't mean to get into politics, but could apply there, just in a general case of sense of maybe you want a leader who has strong character and listens well to the counsels of many people. And you see kind of this leader whose name again I forgot. He's one of the kings. I think it's at Minas Tirith. So again, I love the whole series. It was long. I listened to most of it on audiobook while I worked around the house and did chores and grocery shopping, things like that. So pro tip for you guys out there who are like, "Ugh, I want to read more books," just find the audiobook version, and when you're in the car, working out, when you're growing, if you go grocery shopping, like headphones and your phone and just take it with you. It is seriously like I got through that whole series because of audiobooks. And yeah, I mean I love reading books, I love holding books, but like that was what got me through the actual book. And a little pro tip out there, like while you're just sitting there walking around the store, you can be listening and walking around and doing your errands. But so back to the Return of the King. Return of the King goes through the perspectives of Merry and Pippin, as well as Sam and Frodo, and then also a little bit of some other characters. But those are kind of like the main perspectives you see, which, so there is a groundwork there. It's mostly through the hobbits, but then there's a couple times where like you see Gandalf for a brief moment, you see Aragorn for a brief moment, and it was really well done. Again, my one complaint about the whole entirety of the Lord of the Rings is it's so much. And I was talking to a friend who's a Tolkien fanatic who like really knows a lot about Tolkien and did a lot of research, and she said that like, oh, there are even portions that like he regrets, that Tolkien regrets putting in there because it is so long, or like it just didn't really move the story along, or I forget what she said about like why, but there were some spots and some songs he wish she had included. And I was like, yeah, just it does seem a bit long. And if you ever seen the movie, you know, and I've referenced this in another video of mine with the plot line video where you have all those finding the right beats and the resolution beat, the ending conclusion beat. He has like a bajillion of those. So it's kind of like, oh, it should be done, but he kind of is wrapping up everybody's. And that's what I didn't understand. He is wrapping up all the perspectives and point of views resolutions. He's giving them all a resolution. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. So that's why he's doing it. So that's why he was able to do it. Most modern day readers probably wouldn't like you to do that. I guess, I mean, that is up to you. You do you. And that's where like you get readers and beta readers and practice readers, things like that, to see how they feel about that. But personally, I just like, you know, just end it with one or two of your perspectives if you're doing a multiple point of view story. Because it's kind of like, we're done. You know, battle's been won. Sauron's defeated. Okay, we're good. We don't need all this other stuff. But it was still a really great book. I just really loved the imagery, again, being used throughout the whole thing. And it made the movies really stand out and really come alive, in my opinion. Let me explain that a bit more. The books were definitely better than the movies, but the movies were still like really good. Like they were really, really good. But the book, when you read the book and then watch the movie, you kind of understand what's happening a bit more instead of just being like, oh, here's this person, or here's this character in their scene and you can see they're struggling. But in the book, it just goes deeper and you hear their struggles. You can just feel their struggles. So a lot of the show don't tell, which I've done a video in the card above explaining more about show don't tell if you would like to check that out. So he does a really great job. I really like that series. Will I ever read it again? Probably, because I have to actually teach that. But would I read it again on my own if I didn't have to teach it? Probably not, just because it wasn't like my like, oh, I love this story. It was like, oh, that was a great story. I'd rather watch the movie. And you know, some people aren't like that. They're like, no, I would read this over and over and over again. Like maybe in 20 years I would reread it, but it's not a book that I'm like, oh, I'm itching to read and go through again. However, there are a lot of like layers, and he just really built his world very well. So there are people who devote and just teach Tolkien. That's what they do for a living. So that's really cool. I probably wouldn't want to read it again and again and again and again, unless I wasn't teaching it. So I actually do recommend both of those series. They're very well written, and if you like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson is actually really well done. And if you like Harry Potter, I mean, like, Lord of the Rings is very much alike. I think she actually borrowed a lot of inspiration from Tolkien. I have no data to back that up, but I'm like, if she had read it, I think she did, you know, use that as inspiration for some of the way that she designed her world and designed her characters and some of her aspects, like the One Ring actually has a bit of Sauron's soul in it, and that's kind of like what's keeping him alive and keeping him there. He's a Moria, which is actually a spirit. He's not a being. Sorry if you heard that. My husband's having a D&D group, so there may be some little shouts in the background, and I apologize. I'm going to see if I can edit that out. But so Sauron is Moria, which is a spirit, kind of like an angelic being, except he was a fallen angelic being, but his part of his soul is in the ring, which is why it's so important they need to destroy the ring, because if you destroy the ring, you destroy Sauron, very similarly to destroying Voldemort. So I think she probably got that inspiration from Lord of the Rings. So if you like Harry Potter, those are two really great series I suggest you reading. And if you don't like Harry Potter and you like fantasy, and if you like, yeah, fantasy, really great books up your alley. So that is today's video. Very short, very much just those two books. Again, it's November, it's NaNoWriMo. I don't think that I'll have a big reading wrap up for November. I am in the fourth Percy Jackson book, and we'll see if I get through that for November. About like only a third of the way through anyway. So we'll see. It might be more of a January, like a December reading wrap up when I have a little more time off when it comes to the holiday season. I'm gonna end that video here. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning in and for all the love and support that you guys have been giving me. It has been wonderful to see our community starting to grow, and I just hope that we can continue to have conversations more about books and reading and writing. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and click that bell for more notification on all things writing and reading. I release new videos every Thursday. And thank you guys so much again for watching. Keep writing, keep reading, and stay creative. Bye!